Derek, could we just start with your reaction to Yousef Chermiti's injury news yesterday?
Yeah, obviously really disappointed. For ourselves, selfishly, it's a big part of what we wanted to do this season, and he's obviously a talented boy. But for Yousef himself, obviously he's very young. It'll be difficult for him to accept and understand what's happened to him, but such is the way, life can, 1 minute you're flying high and get the full season ahead for you and a lot of lofty ambitions for yourself, and then obviously he's had to deal with this injury now, so he's actually on his way to London this afternoon to see a specialist, and then maybe next week get through his operation, and then from that point on it's just about working back, but real tough one for the boy, and tough one for us, particularly. The only saving grace from our point of view as a club, the fact that it's happened in a transfer window and we've got the opportunity to react to that, because ordinarily you wouldn't get the chance once the window closes.
It's also an extra layer of complexity from a club level where he was subject of interest from elsewhere. I know you spoke at the weekend. Did you expect him to stay beyond the window? And I take it, as you mentioned there, the search for a new striker then gets accelerated.
Yeah. So I think the plan was for Yousef to stay in, but obviously it was a big number. It was reportedly bid for him. I don't know exactly what the figure was, but obviously the club rejected that, and it's neither here nor there now. To be honest, it's done, and and I think the plan was for Yousef to be a big part for us. But every player's got a price, as you know, so whether that would have been revisited, but it doesn't really matter now. We're talking about something that's hypothetical, and I just think we are obviously looking at maybe strengthening that area of the pitch. Strengthening us defensively, strengthening us in wide areas was a priority, but obviously losing a player of Yousef's ability, we need to look at that one as well.
Where are you in that search, given that it has been sprung upon you more than the other areas?
So again, we're kind of trying to be quite proactive with that and seeing what is available. Obviously number 9s are normally the most difficult ones to get, and we just look at various options at the minute, and then we try and land on trying to get the right one that we would complement what we've got at the top of the pitch. Obviously we're looking for a bit of pace at the top of the pitch, and ideally something with a similar profile to Yousef, but it's all right saying what you want, but we'll work hard to try and get as close to what we want as possible.
How's the fitness of the rest of your squad, Derek? Maybe in particular, Tour Romans as well. How's he?
Tour's picked up a groin strain. Him and Manny were the only two that played full minutes, both in Poland and on Sunday at Ibrox. So we tried to freshen up. At this stage of the season, you're susceptible to these types of things, particularly when the demand of the games comes on, and we don't have an array of options defensively. So obviously Tour having to go in again and play. It was just in the very last action in the bottom left-hand corner, just before Hibs broke. He felt his groin twinge a bit, and the scan wasn't great, to be honest. So we're going to be without him for a number of weeks, which exacerbates the situation. Defensively, we're really short in numbers. We don't have a left-footed defender in the building, and we're keen to try and get that resolved as quickly as possible, because I do think that with the numbers we've got there, we are kind of playing with fire, and we are a couple of defenders being injured from the situation we're in, with Ben Godfrey now and Romans. But the good thing is we've got the ability to react to it, and hopefully we can react positively and quite swiftly, to be honest, because I think that is important that I think we all know what we need, but it's acting really swiftly would help matters.
We've obviously seen you change your team at the break. Is that just trying to find a solution when you do have these shortages in these areas that you have had for the first 3 games of the season?
Well, we changed the team in Poland because a couple of times, obviously, Yokota had only had 45 minutes, and I'm in Poland, and we didn't ordinarily want to take him off. And we changed the team again at half-time, just to try, and obviously we're 1-0 down, we lose control of the game because of the penalty, and we're not in charge of the game, so we've got to try and force the issue a wee bit, and we tried to, the spare man at the time, the spare space, a lot of time against Hibs was on that right hand side, in that little pocket where Vanya was, and Vanya had been booked, and you take everything into consideration. We thought we would get Finlay over that side, and I thought the second half we were better. I thought the stats are strong. The stats, when you look at it, with 76% possession and penalty box entries and shots, all that stuff, the stuff that would ordinarily indicate that you've had a decent afternoon. But the only stat that matters, as we know, is the result, and it was such a blow for us. It would have been a blow for us dropping 2 points, but to get nothing for the game. But I do think in the cold light of day, when you actually analyse the game and the performance, the performance deserves so much more. It deserved a better outcome. But with everything else going on, the couple of not getting off to a winning start, I think everything gets scrutinised, and rightly so. I understand that, but when you actually analyse the performance, it should have been a winning performance, and we'll hang on to that in a minute. We'll work towards getting improvements, work towards getting a better 90-minute performance, because I thought we were okay first half, but there's no doubt Yousef coming off, the penalty decision going against us did set us back, but we've got to be able to respond better at times to these kind of setbacks.
Derek, can I just check on progress of some of the transfer deals that are about? Drew for PSV, James Penrice for IK. I think there's suggestions of Jaden McInnes coming back. Where are you with these kind of deals?
So obviously with Tour's injury, we've been looking at various options, so that's kind of ongoing. So without kind of getting into the ins and outs of that, and we're trying to bring wingers in. It's in the hands of the recruitment team to try and get that over the line, and these things are. Nothing's been finalised with anything yet, so obviously waiting for that to play out, but hoping we can get some good news, hopefully by the close of the day or tomorrow.
Obviously, you've waited for this opportunity for so long. It's come, and it just seems like everything that could go wrong right now is going wrong. I mean, how do you keep your own spirits up, never mind the rest of the squads?
Yeah, well, it's my job to keep my spirits up. It's the players' jobs to keep themselves going. We're about to play in a European game in front of 50,000 tomorrow, and that if you can't get up for that type of event, and we understand that it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows. I got the job for a reason. There's a lot of changes needing, and there's a lot of kind of turnaround of the squad. Of course, it's not been as straightforward as I hoped. And you want to enjoy the job a lot better than what it is at the minute, but you can only enjoy it at Rangers when you're winning. I said that in my press, and for me, we've got stuff to do, we've got work to do, and for me, it's part of being a manager. Obviously get a lot of experience, but there is ups and downs. But it's about coping with the difficult times. It kind of defines you, and I think it's up to us now to just knuckle down, stay calm, work, as I say, really swiftly on recruitment. Hopefully we can be really effective with what we actually need and what we need that is there to help us. The owners, Andrew's already come out and said we're looking to get a significant number of players in, which is the conversations we've been having, but hopefully we can get those in, because I think it's fair to say we want to try and keep the optimism and the support. We want to try and keep, it's the start of the campaign, there's still so much to play for. But we want to make sure we're in the race for everything, and we want to be as strong as we possibly can. And every manager's the same, but at a club like ourselves, we've got to try and be ready to meet the demand, and the squad at the minute could do with some help.
As much as it feels tough right now, but these tough times will make the better times all the sweeter. That's what you've got to try and put that message through to the players. Yeah,
you'd rather not go through. We'd rather win the game on Sunday, and winning the game on Sunday doesn't mean to say everything's rosy in the garden. But at the same time, I think we could all be doing with a win. Supporters could do it, the players could do it, and I think there's nothing better to get a dose of encouragement and a dose of confidence into the support by getting a win. And obviously we've got work to do. I think the tie's finally poised. I thought we were decent in Poland for long spells. But we've got to understand that as I said last week, I thought we played a part in our own downfall with the goals we lost. So if we can tighten up on that side, I feel as though we've got the game in us and the performance in us to get through the tie. And if we can get through the tie, then obviously everybody starts to feel a bit better about themselves. But that's the plan. It's my job and the players' jobs to keep ourselves going and positive. And there's a lot of new signings in the building. And there's a lot of players training and playing with motivation, as they should do at Rangers, and hopefully, as I say, we can get the result tomorrow night, which would help.
Derek, in terms of injuries to Yousef and Tour, excuse me, In terms of recruitment for those positions, are they likely to be loan deals or could they be permanents?
I think we're looking at every area really. I think ideally any club would look for permanents if we could, but we'd also sometimes you have to go with loans. But we're just looking for the best person really, and however that looks like, whether it's a loan or a permanent. So I'm hopeful that we get the players in that we need, but I want to make sure we get them in as quickly as we can.
And you said a number of weeks. Can you give a more definitive on tour? How many weeks?
Tour, worst case probably 6 to 8 weeks, best case 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay. And on tomorrow night, Derek, you know what European atmosphere is like at Ibrox. You'll want the fans in their numbers, obviously, to try and get the result.
Yeah, listen, it goes without saying how important it is for us to try and crank it up tomorrow. We want the pressure to be on the opposition, not ourselves. And you know, you saw last week in Poland, for those who were there, just how important the atmosphere was, I think, for the home team last week. But it would be nothing like Rangers and Ibrox when it's at full pelt, so hopefully we can give the crowd something to get behind tomorrow, and it's up to us to try and give them that encouragement, you know, because they're desperate for something to get behind, and we want to try and deliver a big performance tomorrow if we can.
Derek, you mentioned earlier on that with the numbers you're currently on, you're playing with fire. Have you had to have some kind of frank, pointed conversations with people just to kind of stress the urgency of how quickly you need to get more numbers on board?
I think there's been a number of conversations, obviously with a couple of injuries that set us back, key players, you know, and but no, it's conversations are ongoing every day, and it's like, you know, managers are always wanting the player now. Once you identify a player, you want to get them in the building and as quickly as possible, and it's not always as easy as that, and you know, sometimes it can be a thankless task, but you know, I do think that we have, you know, we're kind of, I think there's a kind of clear plan about what we're looking for, and obviously it's changed a wee bit now in terms of the Yousef injury, and that is obviously something we're going to have to really zone in on, and we're working hard and looking at options since when we finished training before we came in here, and it wasn't an area where we're looking at, but just defensively it was always been a bit of concern. I always thought we were short in numbers there. Certain areas of the pitch, like middle of the pitch, we've got plenty of numbers, but it's there's loads of the wider areas and defenders were way short.
Yeah, with Sourab Draouche, the Moroccan guy from PSV, is it safe to say he's over here and you've had a wee bit of chat with him to see if you can get it over the line?
I don't know exactly where he is right now, but you know, I think for us, we've been linked with a lot of players. Obviously that one's gained a bit of momentum and we are quite far down the line with that, but I don't know where it's at currently, where it's and as I say, once we know, we'll know, but I think all these things are still ongoing.
What was your biggest takeaway, Derek, from last week, from that first leg, you know, where you can get at them tomorrow night? And you clearly saw enough in the first leg to think that you can turn it around Thursday.
Yeah, I think we certainly need to get more bodies in the box at times. So from we had a video this morning and we went through some of the clips from the game last week, and certain things we need to commit to doing and be a bit, I think we need to play with a bit more risk with our play. I think we need to be less safe, to be honest. I thought we were a bit too safe for my liking, and try and force the issue a wee bit more and get a wee bit more tempo. I thought our tempo, the game was far better second half, in terms of our movement off the ball and movement with the ball, and we created a number of opportunities. So if we can get something similar from the outset, that would be great, but we've also got to make sure that our counter press is good, our defending's good when we're attacking, and making sure that we're on point, because I have got players that can make a difference for them, and we've just got to make sure that their influence on the game is less than it was, particularly first half.
Hi Derek. We know we need to get off to a fast start on Thursday night. I guess there's a bit of a balancing act to play in that, because you try and force play might lead to a costly mistake. How do you instill the sense of urgency in the players to get off to a fast start but make sure we don't take too many risks and make it into a bit of a costly error?
Yeah, so there is that balance. I think any game, it's the kind of the balance between attacking and defending, and making sure that you do play with an element of risk, and I do think that's something we're going to have to buy into a bit more, particularly at Ibrox. but having the confidence to defend these situations as well and transitions. Most goals you'll see now are on counter-attacks or set plays a lot of the time. Very few teams will actually play through you and build through you. And we saw that last week for as much they want to play through you, and they're rotations and quite clean ordinarily through the middle of the pitch. I don't think they really causes too many problems with that. But it was mostly when we gave the ball away or on duels one and outside their box, they could break quickly. So there is that tendency. You're not going to be able to keep. You're not going to get everything you want, because if you commit bodies forward and you play with a bit more risk, then you are more susceptible. But we've got 90 minutes to win the game and get through in the tie, and we've got to take a lot of the good from last week's game. And I still think we can attack with a bit of purpose and a bit of intent without playing the last 5 minutes football for 90 minutes, if you know what I mean. We've got to be better than that. So there's that kind of balance between being a bit measured, confident with work, but also understanding the urgency and tempo and playing bigger passes and playing with a bit more risk is needed to get the tie going our way.